Welcome back to the Lipoedema Podcast. We are your hosts, Shell
and Tiana, and today we have a very special warrior on with us. It's Michele Jai. Michele, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
We are fabulous. Now, we're going to get straight into it, Michele. How did you come to learn of lipedema, and when was that?
Well, isn't that an interesting question for lipedema people?
Very loaded.
So I've known for a long time that something wasn't right, but the actual diagnosis was made by a lady in the gym who showed me a photo of her sister that had just been diagnosed with lipedema. So I was working out in the gym, I bumped my leg and yelped really loud, and this lady came running over and said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, no, I've just got really sore parts," blah, blah, blah. I said, I can't have a massage down there, and went through all the symptoms and stories, and she said, "Oh, you sound like my sister. She's just been diagnosed with lipedema." And I went, "Oh, okay." And she said, "Hang on," and she got a phone, and she obviously does it more often because she kind of flipped straight to this photo, and she held it up to me, and I just went, "That's my legs. They're my legs." And that day, she gave me a couple of people to follow, and one of them was the doctor in Spain.
One of them was what, sorry?
The doctor in Spain, and then I'm ending up. Yeah.
Fascinating.
And that was March 2024 that happened.
Wow.
Last year.
Yeah, I'm a newbie.
You're not even a year in.
No.
Wow. And do you mind me asking how old you are, Michele?
I'm 62.
There you go. So the average age is 48, and I was bang on 48 when I found out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting, isn't it? I just was shocked because I'd been searching for probably, I'd say, 24 years. I knew something was not right.
Yeah.
And it was the story of going to the doctor. My same doctor, mind you, that I've had for 20 years, and showing her this fat pad growing under my knee, which was my first true symptom. She just said, "Well, you're getting older and you're not playing sport anymore. You just need to cut your calories, do more cardio." And I've travelled a lot with work and been to doctors in Darwin, doctors in Coffs Harbour, and I all said the same thing. No one ever offered any other choice than you need to lose weight. You've got to get it off before you get older, all those things.
Gosh, we've got a lot of educating to do, don't we?
We do, and that's my goal now before I leave this earth, is to get people finding out before 62 because, I've always eaten healthily, played a lot of sport, kept really fit, and couldn't understand why after my second baby I couldn't lose weight like I used to, and I just started getting this blubbery kind of, which is a horrible word to use, but it felt watery or blubbery. It just, no matter what I did, and you know the story, starve yourself, work out more than you should be, all those things, and it just kept growing. But then I went to Darwin in 2020 after 2022, and I think that's when I hit menopause. And so I hit Darwin, working full-time as a teacher, up 3 flights of stairs, and menopause. So bang, I exploded. I put on about 20 kilos in 2 years.
Wow.
All that stress.
Yeah, a lot of stress. Yeah, I have.
So in your earlier years, like as a teenager, like in your 20s, was there ever like anything that was like suspects that you may have had it all that time, or it was only this instance that it sort of showed up?
Okay, I had a couple of instances. Once was in puberty. We actually moved house from where I was born and grew up with all my extended family, across the road from my grandma and next door to my auntie and all that sort of stuff. We moved from there over to Coffs Harbour, and I put on a lot of weight, and I didn't know why. I just thought it because I wasn't playing sport anymore, because I've been playing all the sport since I was little. And my dad was a shearer, so we would have meat and veggies every night. The veggies would be potato, peas, corn, carrot, all those sort of starchy vegetables. Then we moved over to Coffs, and it took me a little while. I started high school that year, And I found a photo not so long ago of my year. Well, in those days, it was year 8. You went into high school in New South Wales. And I just looked like a balloon, like I just looked round. It was just, anyway, I don't know what happened. I don't remember dieting or doing anything, but I sort of got into hospital and everything and continued on normally. What I consider normal. I'm quite tall and I'm quite big bones, like my family is a big family. And then the next instance that happened, I put on a lot of weight with my first pregnancy. I put on about 26 kilos. And so they sent me off to have the glucose testing for sugar and all those sorts of things. They nothing healthy as went overdue 13 days, but had a cesarean and got back to roughly normal in about 10 months, I think, being able to do normal stuff again. And then I had the second one and put on 28 kilos, same story, tested for gestational diabetes, put a lot of weight, a lot of swelling, and couldn't lose it after him. I lost some of it, but it was a battle. That's when my battle started, I reckon, about 24 years ago. Yeah. My real battle to keep it at bay probably started about 24 years ago.
Was the weight you put on all over, or was it mainly in like your lower limbs? Or
it was definitely lower limbs, definitely from my waist down, because I always had quite a small waist, like a lot of us ladies. We have a small waist, and everyone. But yeah, definitely from, especially not so much my lower legs, but I have very big thighs, very huge thighs, which have been great if you're playing basketball or doing cycling or anything, but as you get older, it's a lot to carry around.
If it was pure muscle, I always used to think mine was pure muscle. I'm like, I got the best quads, and then I found out about lipedema. I'm like, oh, damn it.
It's so funny you say that, because when I was in Darwin, I was on away for 2 years in Darwin. I'm really going to hit this hard and get all this weight off me. And so I hired a personal trainer, and I was doing gym like hard. She was paying me like 3 or 4 days a week, and sort of halfway through, I was telling my husband, look, I'm getting quads. But it was actually the tops of my knees filling up with that fluid on top. So I thought, wow, it's really working. All this weight is working, and it's not. It's fluid. And anyway, that's what it is.
Yeah. So once you found out about lipedema, like it's only a short while ago, how have you been managing it? Like, what have you put in place?
Fortunately had to rely on all you ladies who started groups and put yourself out there on Facebook, and because the medical kind of way just didn't have any answers for me. They couldn't tell me what to do. I found a really wonderful lady in Mackay called Laura Hamilton who helped me with compression garments. Amazing lady in Mackay who did lymphatic drainage, Jill Saunders. She has I forget the name of it. She was wonderful with my mental things around this, because that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
And I just read books and looked up information and cut out carbs and sugar. And within, I'm going to say 2 weeks, but maybe it's 3, the pain in my legs was gone, 80% gone. I didn't have the pain in my legs. It wasn't a big, I did like my kind of sweet fruits, and I love my soft drink, or I did love my soft drink. But I wasn't a big carb, eater, but obviously just didn't like my body. And being in the water, I get so much relief and gets rid of the fluid. And so I try and get to the pool every day if I can. And if I don't, I really notice it after about 2 or 3 days. I'm a bit stiff and I'm a bit ugh. So they were the 2 main things, swimming and cutting the carbs and the sugar out of my diet, and drinking a lot of water. But I kind of did that anyway, so that helped.
It's amazing what a difference just those 2 things would have made. Like, I woke up this morning and like I swim every day, or go to contrast pools every day. But I woke up this morning and I was so puffy, like my fingers were all puffy. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I spent a bit too much time dissecting my life to figure out why this had happened. But then I just went, well, that's interesting. Anyway, I went to the pools, and when I got home, my fingers were back to normal. And I'm like, that just goes to show how powerful being in the water and moving in water. I couldn't believe it. Like, I really should have taken, I'll video about it later maybe, but I really should have taken a photo of the difference in my hands within, 40 minutes of being in the water. It was insane.
Yeah, and there is some research around that. I should have got it out, but I didn't have it. But there is some research about the amount of compression that different depths of water. So the deeper you go, obviously the harder the compression. So I always try and go, up to here if I can.
I go up to my neck. I go up to my neck. So I think that's 30 megagrams of mercury. The up to the neck is the most, and that's more than our compression is.
Exactly.
Our compression is 22 to 28 or something. Yeah, so it's higher than class 2 compression being in the water.
And I would agree with that. That's part of my plan is to make sure I have 2 hours in the water a day before I have the surgery. Like, compression is not my friend. I mean, it's not anyone's friend, I know. I want it as much as I can, but it's an emotional or a mental thing for me as well as a physical thing. I feel almost claustrophobic when I've got it on, and I feel uncomfortable, squished. And so if I can do 2 hours in the pool, I'll swap them over.
Absolutely. Go for the thing that you can more readily do and you're more likely to do, that you can be more consistent with. And did you, I thought we spoke about, but did you wear comfy waves? Is it you that wears them to bed, or no, that didn't work?
Didn't work, no. I tried them and I just felt they weren't intact enough. Like, it kind of kept sliding down a bit. I did plan it just for bedtime because I thought I might be able to cope for it better with bedtime. But see, I live in the tropics. Anything that's covering your skin is quite difficult, even if you've got the air conditioner on. It's still quite sweaty and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You sound like a bit of a sook.
No, not at all. Look all you want. We're allowed to sook. This sucks.
I think, it's realistic, isn't it? Because you're talking about the things that you can do to support lipedema, and that's very little because, Shell and I can come on and say and our clinical and our therapists can come on and say, these are all the things that you should be doing, but we need to talk to real people about what they can actually do for various reasons. So compression does not work for you. However, you get compression when you go into the water, and there are other things that you are doing. And I think that's very realistic.
And that's a good point to bring forward because sometimes it feels so overwhelming. Like, if I don't get on my vibration plate and I didn't wear my compression today, you're almost scolding yourself and saying, well, it's going to get worse now because you didn't do that and you didn't do this.
Yeah.
That's where that whole mental side comes in, and I honestly struggle more with that, the physical. I really struggle with the mental side of this thing, and probably because it's been such a short time for me as well.
Yeah. That first 12 months is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like, that's an absolute roller coaster. Like, I shelved everything for 12 months and just went, nah, too hard basket. I'm not dealing with that. Nah, too much.
And I think, I keep going back to relatability. This story, your story, and you sharing with us the way that you handle everything can resonate with so many other people. That feeling of being claustrophobic in your garments, I think a lot of people would feel exactly the same, and it would give them a little bit of clarity to know that they're not alone and that other people share that feeling, and then there's other things we can do. It's not the be all and end all if you can't wear compression garments. Yeah,
especially when so many people compression. It's not for everyone. I was a really late adopter of compression, but it took me a while to get used to it. But, it's not for everybody.
And it's also not for everybody for different seasons. So I was an avid compression wearer, and, since my pregnancy, I haven't put them back on for the amount of time that it would take for them to make a difference. I've not been wearing them consistently. I'm not in a season right now where it's serving me. It would serve my lipedema, but it's not serving me as a whole. And therefore, I have to be more diligent in other things. And I think that's where we need to give ourselves a bit of grace.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
And there are so many things out there that we could be doing. And Tiana and I have spoken about it before, about our floor and our ceiling, like our floor being the one non-negotiable you will do every day. And if you do that one thing, hey, celebrate. But if you do all the things, that's a good day too. So you're not feeling like you have to tick all the boxes every day, because that is just too much.
And it's not a way to live your life, regardless, having...
More than just our lipedema,
That's right.
lives to live.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Very good. So you did mention that when you first got diagnosed, there was a surgeon that you got the information from to follow on social media. And is that the surgeon that you have decided to go with for your surgeries?
Well, actually, no. I did follow the doctor that I am going to do the surgery with, but the concept of going to another country to have surgery just wasn't in my wheelhouse at that time. So I investigated how I can get diagnosed medically, like properly, in Australia, and did the Dr. Lekic at the Gold Coast. So my first step was getting on one of his calls, one of his group calls, and then that, with their process, which I'm sure you're familiar with, you then have an appointment with one of the doctors. So I sent some photos in, had an appointment with Dr. Teo, and he confirmed, yes, you definitely are stage 3 lipedema and a little bit of lipedema somewhere. I can't remember where he said. And so I went, okay. And then I started, actually I didn't. I kind of stepped back then and went, it's a lot, it's a lot. I have it, okay. And until I kind of sat back away from me and started thinking about, because my big driver, I guess, going to the gym to start with in March, getting back into the gym, was my mobility was starting to suffer.
Yeah.
I couldn't do a day teaching without sitting down most of the day in the chair, and my hubby was doing the grocery shopping because my legs were aching, and there were all these things. And I started thinking about my dad's sisters, who I can remember growing up thinking, wow, they're fat, like they're really fat. And then I think they played golf and bowls and worked, stood up all day at work in a news agency, did everything, and I'm going, what? And then I thought more and remembered that the last 5 years of their lives, they were in a recliner and were being cared for, like baths and daily tasks were not possible for them. And one of them in particular, she had a prolapse and just had the most horrible last 5 years of her life. And I started wondering, well, maybe that's when I started looking at the hereditary side of it. And then I thought, well, I need to get some kind of intervention now. I can't do this myself. I'm 61 years old and I need to do something fast. So I went, and the first thing that came to halt that was the cost. Because I need 5 or 6 surgeries. I have legs, arms and abdomen as well. So he said 5, possibly 6 surgeries. And I just went, I can't. How do I do that? I've got to work to earn money and I've got to have $100,000 worth of surgery. It doesn't compute. I can't do that. So I guess that was the thing that pushed me, because in the forums that I'm in the Facebook groups and things, people were saying they're putting it off because of the cost. And also overseas is cheaper. And I know that because I go to Bali a lot and I had my teeth and my eyes done in Bali for the last 20 years. So I thought, well, hang on, not Bali, but I thought these overseas places. And then I recalled that the Dr. Burgos in Spain, there's also a guy in Germany as well that seems to be very popular at the moment or whatever, or very successful. So I started following them more closely and was drawn, I don't know, well, I do know, I listened to a podcast. There's a couple of ladies in America.
Yeah, the Lipedema Podcast.
Yeah, Lipedema Mamas interviewed him. And I just went, you are the most compassionate, pathetic person about this whole thing, without actually having it, that I've ever heard. Like, he is just beautiful. And the same thing happened on the consultation when I found...
You had a WhatsApp call.
Yes,
WhatsApp
call explained, we talked. He said, obviously, yes, you do have significant lipedema, and told me that he would like to do it, but there are a couple of things, there are a couple of conditions because of my age and because of my weight.
Mhm.
So he said, I will take, because I've lost 22 kilos since March this year. And
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Amazing.
only
It's
because I'm
hard
on
to
the,
shift. It's
It
hard
is.
to shift when you got lipedema.
yeah, and it was with needles, like I'm doing low carb or carnivore and
Mhm.
taking Monjaro
Okay.
once a week.
Yeah.
So there's that. Anyway, he said I will have to go to take it to my board of surgeons
Mhm.
and we'll get back to you in a couple of weeks. So this is the Thursday before Christmas. He
Mhm.
got back to me and said, I've taken it to the surgeon, or because I had to send in blood tests, all my results. Because that's the crazy thing about this whole condition. Whenever I go and have all those tests, cholesterol, sugar, blood pressure, I don't have any of that.
Healthy
Yeah.
as.
Yeah.
Healthy.
Doesn't like twig in a doctor's mind, wow, this person looks this way, but yet inside they don't look that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he said, yes, we will do it on the condition that I have to have another vein scan 2 months before surgery, another blood test. I have to lose another 5 kilos, which between now and September, which is my operation date. And he said, that's not to allow the surgery, that's more to make the surgery less impactful on me, like your recovery will be better. Every kilo I can lose will make it less impactful on me afterwards. So the Thursday before Christmas, he rang and said, yep, we're going to do the operation.
Wow.
Merry Christmas.
But even when we're on the call, it's a 1-hour consultation, and this just sold me, like right there and then, please let this thing happen all with him. I said, oh, it's coming up to the hour. I've just got a couple more questions. And he went, oh, not in his Spanish accent. Oh, no. You've had this condition for your whole life. I'm not going to make you fit it into 60 minutes. So we went for another 20 minutes or so on our initial consultation. And I just thought, man, you get this. You really get it.
Makes a
Yeah.
difference.
He's about the patience. That's so
Yes.
good.
Yeah, it totally is. Read in that podcast where he talks about putting you under a general rather than a twilight so that he's not rushed and he can work and achieve what he wants to achieve. And I don't know, just everything he said seemed to focus on getting the best possible outcome for his patient. And a couple of other people I've kind of delved into in Australia, I don't know, it just doesn't seem as caring, or maybe they're so busy.
Yeah.
Putting a lot of trust in these people. You have to have a rapport with them.
Recording didn't come through. So she went on to say that her and her husband have retired and they were looking at moving to Bali. So instead of doing that, they are now going over to Spain, and they are going to have her surgeries. And while they're having her surgeries, like in between surgeries, they are buying a motorhome and going to travel around Europe. So they intend to do that for 18 months. So we will get Michele back after her September surgery and see how it all went and how life on the road is treating her. So thank you for listening.
The Lipedema Podcast 2025 is powered by Elegance Lymphatic Care. Lipedema and its symptoms vary from individual to individual. The opinions and advice voiced in this podcast are of a personal nature and used for educational purposes.
Please take away from this podcast what resonates with you, and please see your GP or preferred specialist for diagnosis and healthcare. We are Shell and Tiana from the Lipedema Podcast. Until our next episode, bye for now.